Hello, this time in English because we also count on international guests. So in English it will be recommendable. So I am doing precisely that. I am intending to tell you a little bit about our reconstruction group that is all about um, dances, historical dances, and also clothing, historical clothes. We are situated in Poznan, in northwestern part of Poland, and we are inviting you sincerely to our events, historical events, and balls and other events. And we are providing for guests who do not possess any clothing of their own. We are providing also clothes from the epoch. We are organizing, and it's going to be our tradition that we are organizing in May a Napoleonic ball. Yeah, yeah. You see the chapeau of Napoleon Bonaparte, and in September, we are going to be organizing in September 18th century balls. And the smaller events will be between those I mentioned already. And so there is a. It's not a very big group. Our group is not very big, but it's growing. So it's already about 12 people. So we are preparing a wardrobe that it would be possible to borrow from us for that event, because we are counting on and drawing more people who are not, don't have those clothes, but are interested in the epoch, in the epochs, both of them, and would like to take part in our events. So this is providing this is something that should really be appreciated, in my opinion, my humble opinion, because there are two traps that should be avoided when you are going to historical events. Those are two types of, so to speak, pathologies of this small world of historical reconstruction. The first group of people are those who are just making some sort of clothing that is not really historically accurate, that they think that it's not important to be historically accurate, and they are not making the slightest effort to do a historically accurate clothing, and they usually historically accurate frocks and dresses and so on. And they sometimes they try to make the epoch bend to their wishes, whereas it should be the other way around, right? When we are meeting the historical event, we are trying to be in the mood of that era, of that epoch. So we should bend our wishes to the epoch a little bit. So, for instance, no beards. And we have a group that is our competition, usually not very not very um, well. They're playing dirty tricks sometimes. Well, to put it that way. And they have two leaders actually. One leader is the real leader, is a person who is fond of this particular type of bird that it's looking a little bit like a mandarin, a Chinese mandarin bird from old China, and he will not shave it for anything in the world. Whereas in 18th century, nobody, literally nobody, maybe some peasants were wearing beards. Yeah, no beards, no beards. It's something. It's the least 18th century thing ever. So there's not a problem with mustache, because some people, especially those men who had something to do with the military, they sometimes, after quitting the military, after retiring from military, or some other changes in life, they kept this type of look, and there's nothing wrong with the mustache. But beards, it's absolutely a no zone, no go zone. So, but as I mentioned, this man who is a chief of, who is a boss of that group, that is our competition, dirty playing competition, is having very unusually looking wig, which is white, to make it work with this mandarin beard, which is making even worse impression. So, and as to the frog, it's more or less okay, but the look of his head is something which is ghastly. It was described by one of our Russian friend, a very good historical reconstructor, and a normal one, because he's not shaming everybody has a different type of clothing, but he made an exception for this man because this man is a boss of the group, and the organizers should look really better than a guest. The beard is to be forgiven, but only when, as far as guests are concerned, the organizers should really look better. And and this is one. The other boss of that group is a person who is probably imagines that he is the boss of that group, but is really, he always have a very weak contact with reality, so to speak. He's a man with whom we were cooperating before, so I know what I'm saying. And he is practically the dancing master, nothing more. But he imagines himself probably to be a real boss. But it's enough to look at the pictures of the group. That in the center we have the Mandarin bird guy, and not the dancing master guy. Okay, so the other extremum are the so-called ultras, or maybe Reco fascists, reconstruction fascists, or something like this. Those are people who are also divided into groups. One group are just the people who are making better and better, securing better and better clothing for themselves, and which is nothing wrong with that. They are either suing themselves, or they are finding good tailors and so on. There's nothing wrong, as long as they are not criticizing everything and everyone around them. And it's a very sad and popular tendency that many people are doing precisely that. For instance, I think that they are very often looking for some sort of compensation for their lives, which are maybe not very prosperous or something like this, but it's not to be forgiven even if they have some hardships in their lives. So because they are criticizing everything and everyone, who has not everything, has not everything man-made and so on, and it's always a problem for them, and they can go to the event in the precise with the precise well, they're going just to criticize, they're going just to smear the event, they are just going to intimidate others. And there is some philosophy in this madness, there is some method in this madness, as Shakespeare would say, because they are probably shaming people to make them either quit the reconstruction world, small world, or to make them clients of some overpraised and expensive historical tailors who are knowing everything about the sewing elements and so on. For us, these type of very serious people who are very often hostile towards another human beings, it's something that it should not be accepted. People like that are not welcome among our guests. We are only accepting people who, being well dressed, behave normally, and allow everybody to have some sort of freedom as far as clothes, historical clothes and frocks and dresses are concerned. So we try to avoid the two extremes, and we are also because the world, the small world of historical reconstructions have many pathologies. Really, you have, for instance, it's very normal situation when in which the historical reconstructor would sell you something because it's not really historically accurate, and he already knows it. You don't know it because you are entering this world, and you will buy, and then many small tricks, not very nice tricks like that. But there are some more serious stuff. You have people who would come to your event and they would not dance, for instance, because they have adopted some historical role, for instance, as a serving maid or something like that, and the person or serving or servant or serving maid, and they would not dance because they would say we are not allowed to, and they would criticize everything and everyone. They would not dance because they are probably cannot dance, very simply, as simple as that, although those dances are really good, well, very good to learn. They are not really. I will include a link to our dances in below this video. By the way, those dances are very jolly and easy to learn, and there's not no problem with that. Some people would pretend that they shouldn't be dancing those dances because they have some historical role. In fact, they cannot really dance because they are lazy, and they are so critical about everything that they are also critical, insanely critical towards themselves, and they will not dance because you know because because that would be exposed that they are not as perfect. Yeah. So but they have themselves created such an impossible mood around them, that they are so critical about everything that that this crisis is of their own doing. So so okay, so in order to, and there are some events on which there are girls who are trying to spend the night with the guy who is playing the role of the emperor. I will not say which emperor because maybe you would find out which emperor would that be. So, and I don't want to have the problem with this people, with that person who caused me no harm, who made me no harm. Sorry. And well, so we have also psychophans, we have also groupies, but this is all more about the big historical events, not small ones we are organizing. So we have also people who would have affairs, or would try to make some sort of swinger or something, just pretending that they are accommodating to the alleged ideas of the epoch, for instance. So it's very funny. So in order to avoid such toxic people, you just come to us and we will give you adequate clothing, adequate frocks and dresses, of course, lend it to you for the time of the ball, of the event. And you will be it's something that should be really appreciated, because in this way you will avoid contact with toxic people, either negliging the epoch, or far more dangerous people, the Reco fascists, the ultras. So okay, so what's okay? So for instance, this clothing is something more ambitious in my wardrobe, because this is handmade. This is handmade. One tailor, another tailor. But for instance, this Halsbinde, this, I don't know how it is in English, but in German it's Halsbinde. It's very typical for military attire. So it's Toulouse, for instance. It's Toulouse. It's also not thick enough, and the Reco-fascists would say, And here we see, for instance, glasses. Those glasses are not even reconstruction. They are original glasses from 1830s. So 19th century, beginning of the 19th century, but still 19th century. So better it would be for a Reco fascist. It would be better to have them a little bit. Well, the shape is okay, but here these elements, these endings should be thicker, and it should look more like a square. And they would make you to by criticism, by aggressive criticism, to change that and so on. And I think it's absolutely unnecessary. And because this look, as you may see, it's already looks adequate to the occasion. So there is something like not enough reco, there is something like too much reco, and by that we stand. And so come to us if you are interested in history. We'll facilitate it all to you, this entering this small world, and avoiding the very crazy people, and we will lend you the frocks and dresses and so on. No problem here. Okay.